as the Youngster Cop. Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Youngster Cop. So we've got a real special treat to you tonight. We're doing a Cop special where we're going to be looking at our best 90s starting 11. That includes non-British players from the 90s, obviously. So we're going to also be naming our starting 11, and we're also going to be giving a 7-man bench and our best manager for the 90s to manage that. So we're going to be using a 4-4-2 formation. So it's going to be really exciting, and it's going to be controversial because obviously there's some good players that are missed out. So I'm loving to hear your thoughts, how everyone finds it. Otherwise, yeah, I'm going to be joined here tonight with my good friend Luke. So welcome, Luke. How you doing?
Thanks, mate. Great to be on. Like, really, really good to be on the show. Obviously, my last appearance on here was the Burnley defeat, which wasn't great, but this time round, I'm looking forward to this. Really, I've done my research. Hopefully, it's a good team that I'll put out for tonight.
Yeah, I know how you feel. Like, I was kind of struggling with this because, like, so as we said off the chat, like there were so many good players that I missed out. I'm not thinking like, how do I fit them in? What formation do we go with? And also, we've gone with 4-4-2 tonight. But it's just going to be interesting to see like who you had on your bench, who was your manager, and who you had in certain positions. So we're going to go by position one by one just to see which one we had. So we're going to just not only name who we had as our starting person, but also potential options that we missed out on. That obviously were quite big. So I'll start off. So my keeper's choice was Oliver Kahn, because I thought Oliver Kahn was immense. Like, he was like the German Kauser. Like, he was good in the air, he was strong, he was physical, he was a leader, and he just set like the benchmark for Bayern Munich for Germany, and he won loads of stuff with Bayern Munich in Germany. So I felt like he was an exceptional keeper. Who was your choice?
Full house, mate. Oliver Kahn. There was a couple in mind. Early 90s. Oh, sorry, late 90s.
Yeah.
That I had in mind. There was the likes of Buffon, possibly Casillas, sort of pushing on. There was a few I looked into, but Oliver Kahn for me, as you said, like that presence, being in that Bayern team, the German team, winning countless league titles, Champions Leagues. He was like that. I mean, even the 99 final for me, I know, obviously Man United won it. Obviously, I don't like to say that, but just like seeing him as an actual like presence and the leader. Like, I mean, I was only a kid back then watching it, but from what I've seen from Oliver Kahn, it was an absolute fantastic goalkeeper, and he was probably a goalkeeper now that, if you look back in time, sort of like 20, 30 years ago when he was playing, he's probably the goalkeeper that a lot of goalkeepers now have looked up to then become like great goalkeepers themselves. So for me, Oliver Kahn has to be that number one for me.
Yeah, I know the other shouts because there was Schmeichel in that era. Like, obviously, I think in the 90s he was seen as the best Premiership goalkeeper. There's Pagliuca. He was a very good Italian keeper. So there were a lot of good goalkeepers around that time, and I think it was really difficult. I was looking at the list or like top 90s goalkeepers, and I was thinking, there's some tough ones, but then when I saw Kahn, I was like, it has to be him. We agree with Kahn. Okay, so just want to say, everyone, hey, Vintage, Lambie, Danny, first Premier League titles, good to see you all. As well, lads, like, put in your comments below, like, who's your best 90s first 11. Because we'd love to hear from yours, to see if yours matched up with ours. So put in the comments as well. So who's your left back?
Quite an easy one for me. Again, sort of late on in his career, but like Roberto Carlos, like, it was just absolutely incredible. He is like the left back of all left backs. He is the reason why left backs are left backs today. He could score, he could pass, he could defend. He's everything that you want in a defensive player. He's everything that you want in an attacking fullback. I mean, there's the old cliche. There's the old comment from Roy Hodgson that said that he didn't know how to defend. He was never going to make it as a footballer. But no, I mean, Roberto Carlos, again, just a fantastic left back, brilliant player. Could never leave him out at all.
Yeah, I remember him at Inter Milan. He was very good before he went to Madrid. Like I grew up and watched Italia 90, Gazzetta Italia. So, yeah, Carlos was amazing, but he wasn't my left back.
Ooh.
So to fit him in, I had to have him in. I had Maldini at left back
Oh,
because I was like, there's some other good centre backs, which we're going to get to in a minute. But I thought Maldini was exceptional at left back or centre back. So I had him at left back because I thought like there's other centre backs I want to put in the team. So I had him as left back because I think like he was exceptional at left back, Maldini. Like going forward, he could create, he could score goals, and he did play a lot of times at left back originally of Italy.
mhm.
It was only I think at AC Milan he played centre back most of the time. But majority of the time he played left back for Italy, and he was really good there. So I had him as left back. So that's the only difference. But yeah, it was difficult. I did have, it was hard because I did think about Carlos, so it was difficult. Who was your first centre back?
I was well. I wanted to put Maldini in there. I'm gonna put I have to put Maldini at centre back. It was just such a hard choice between him, as you said, like between him and Roberto Carlos, like as that left back, and I put Roberto Carlos at left back, so I've had to put Maldini at centre back. I mean, just watching the longevity of his career. I mean, in the 90s and the 2000s. I mean, watching him, as a Liverpool supporter, watching him in the 2005 and 2007 Champions League finals as well. I know it wasn't 90s era, but like from my time watching football, it's like it's just looking back and watching these players, and it's just unbelievable. Like Maldini was like, again, I've said it a lot like already, but he was just like the mark, the mark of becoming a great true centre back and a great leader towards any team. And that AC Milan team over the years have just been fantastic, like in the 90s to the early 2000s. So Paolo Maldini has to go in at centre back for me.
Yeah, Maldini. Like I said, I think you said it all there about Maldini. He was. I'd still say for me, he was the best left back ever. But it was difficult as well because I think he was one of the best centre backs ever to play the game as well. So it was a difficult one. But one of my centre backs I chose because I was looking at this, and I thought about this because I did think about other ones. Like there's Baresi, who's a very good centre back. I thought he was a legend. But I went for Nesta, one of my centre backs, because I thought like Nesta for me was just epitomised the cultured. Well, I remember Nesta. I think he came from Lazio before he went to AC Milan. I remember at Lazio he was sensational as a centre back, and I thought like he had it all. He was quick, he was strong, he was good in the air, he was a goal threat. He was a ball playing centre back. He didn't dive into tackles. Just like Maldini, he didn't dive into tackles. He knew if he had to dive tackle, he's winning the ball. It's a perfect tackle. Otherwise, his position was just world class. And he was he set the benchmark for like top defenders. Like I think about defenders now, and while we think they're good defenders, I don't think they would defend to this level of like a Maldini or Nesta. So for me, I had to have Nesta in there because I felt like he was just world class. His record at AC Milan proved it. How many Champions Leagues he won, like how he was often pocketing like the best players, strikers in the world on a regular basis. So for me, yeah, I had to have Nesta. Who's your second centre back?
And Nesta was someone that I was really tempted to go for as well. I mean, AC Milan was just. I mean, everyone knows about how defensively rock solid Italy teams are, but I've gone with Baresi. I just think the 20-year stint as AC Milan player, nearly 600 appearances for the team. Italy, I think he was about 80 caps. I think he played for Italy. But the thing that really impressed me about Franco Baresi was like he didn't need to be the biggest centre back to become the best centre back. Like he didn't have that much height with him if you compare to a lot of other centre backs, like a Nesta, for example. He was quick, he was strong. He was very good in the air. He was really agile as well. Like, he was very good. He read the game so well. And yeah, like, I mean, just again, I'm probably going to be a reoccurring thing for me tonight. Just a stepping stone, like a mark. That's the level you want to be a great player, a great centre back. A great footballer. And he's touched a lot of players. Like everyone that you talk about. modern day game, of course, we talk about the Ramoses, the Van Dijks, etc. But there's a lot of people that will always mention Franco Baresi, and he has to go in my team for me.
Yeah. So yeah, just through the chat. Yeah, Oscar. Yeah, it's good to see you, mate. I wish I was 26, actually 34. So I do remember that era. But yeah, so it's good to see you. I said to everyone else, do put your own team in the chat of who your best 90s 11 is, just so we can compare it with our team. But also do make sure if you're watching, like and subscribe. Do hit that like button, because the more people you like it, the more people see our show, the more content we can get out to more people and help them grow up this channel. So do make sure you do that, like and subscribe. For me, my other one was Desailly. I felt like Desailly was sensational at Marseille. He was quick. He could play DM as well, centre back. He was strong. He was a leader, and I think for me, he was one of the best French players ever. Forget the attacking players. From the defensive point of view, he's one of the best French players ever, and he won everything there was. Even when he went to Chelsea, he was still top class for that period. He was at Chelsea. I just feel like he was just so elegant. He was a key for France winning that 98 World Cup, how dominant he was. And it was difficult because there were other top centre-backs I left out. Cannavaro was world-class, absolute boss. There's Thuram, who I loved. Thuram, I was a massive fan of him. He could play right-back or centre-back. He was absolutely world-class. But there was obviously Puyol.
Yeah,
I thought was a very good centre-back, and difficult to leave him out. But I went for Desailly, so that was my one. Who is your right back?
A lot of suggestions. I was thinking about Cafu, but I was thinking maybe later on in the 90s, mate. I don't know. I think it'd been very, very difficult. I mean, as you said, there's lots of players out there. I went for Thuram, and the reason why I went for Lilian Thuram, versatile, he strong, he could defend, he could go forward. I mean, even defensively, you could even at times he could even play in midfield. He was such a great versatile player. Again, I mean, later on in sort of watching football, I'll always watch him. When he won the World Cup for France. Later in his career, even at Juventus, he was just so dominant. Again, such a brilliant player that is, he's very underrated in my opinion, Lilian Thuram, and that's why he gets into my list. I could have maybe easily put Cafu in there, but I've gone with Lilian Thuram just because, he's very underrated, strong, quick. Everything you want in a defender in a 4-4-2 formation. So I'm going to go with Thuram right back.
Yeah, Danny agrees with you that Thuram was great. Yeah, he was. I think you're right. Thuram was fantastic right back. And I do remember that 98 World Cup you're talking about. He scored 2 goals against Croatia that put France in the semi-final. And he was just a top player like Thuram. But for me, I went for Cafu because the reason why I thought Cafu was just epitomised what a right back. He was different because he could attack, he could run all day, he could attack and play, and he could embarrass. I remember there's a clip, I can't remember what it was for Milan, I think it was, where he's kicking the ball over. I think we're playing Roma, and he's kicking the ball over players' heads, and doing all these kicking up. And it's he was just class, and the amount of things he did for AC Milan, the amount of Champions Leagues he won, the fact that I think he was at the '94 World Cup as well. I think.
Yeah.
And he was just an outstanding right back. Everything you want in a right back, Cafu had. And I just loved his energy. The fact that he can run all day. He was never struggling against the top wingers in the world. He played in an era where there were so many top wingers, top players, and he was world class. He was never exposed. That was the one thing. For example, if you compare Cafu to Carlos, I always felt there were times where Carlos defensively could be questionable at times. where he did the wrong thing. Like, I can't remember what game it was for Brazil. I think it was a 94, 98 World Cup, where he's trying to bicycle kick in his own box instead of just clearing the ball out properly. And then, so that's the thing. I didn't think that Cafu, so I didn't was my best right back. But there were other good shouts. There was Luzarazu, who was a great right back for Bayern Munich, who was exceptional. Zanetti.
I'm gutted. I left him out. I really have. I'm just like, it's just brilliant. Like, these players, like, I mean, I think it was one of the comments. Oscar said he's 26. I mean, I'm 28. Like, I mean, I was following sort of 90s football probably at the late, like, when I was about 6, 7. So, like, I sort of watched the back end of the 90s. But do you know what? Like, just listening to them players, like Lizarazu, Zanetti especially. Like, Zanetti was just an exceptional player. Absolutely. Italian football was so strong in the 90s. It really was.
Yeah, it really was. A lot. Yeah, that's what I said. I grew up on like a Gazzetta Italia, and just loving that show because it was just. I think that's why I tweeted earlier how the 90s era was the best era of football because the Italian league was strong, the French league was strong, the Dutch league was strong, Spanish league was strong, and the German league was strong. Because and you had so many top players playing around Europe, and even that point, I think probably Italian teams dominated that period for quite a while because it was like you saw Juve, you saw Inter Milan buying Ronaldo from Barcelona and bringing him over. So you probably that now wouldn't happen because dynamics have completely changed. Yeah. By the time you saw that, the only team that could actually steal pitch players was Real Madrid because they took Zidane off of Juventus and they took Carlos off Inter Milan. But otherwise, majority of times those teams were quite strong. And even like you look at '97, Dortmund won the Champions League and they were the best team. And then I think it was all right, Dave, good to see you. I think it was 94 or 92 that Ajax won it. 96, I think it was, where Ajax dominated. So there was such a great era for football. Moving on, who was your left winger?
Pavel Nedved.
Yes, same here.
He was Pavel Nedved. Was it? I mean, it was in the late 2000s. He won the Ballon d'Or, didn't he? I think it was 2003. But he, for me, was like, you see it now. Like, if he could play right winged, cutting on his left foot, he was able to. He was versatile, as I mentioned earlier. Just such a nightmare to defend against. He was just an absolute wonderful footballer. Like, there's so much money words I can describe about Pavel Nedved. I mean, that long blonde hair, of course, like seeing him on the team sheet. It's like, do you know what it is? It's like, have you seen them pictures with, when someone's got them like the boots on, like Ronaldo's got the white boots on today, like, the game was over. Like, for me, it's like when you see Pavel Nedved, like with his long blonde hair, like, when he's up for it, like, the game was over before it even started. Just an exceptional talent. It really was. Again, even defensively, like his work rate defensively in that put him in a 4-4-2. It was just brilliant. Like, I can't no more words to describe about Pavel Nedved. I mean, obviously the rest of my players are great enough as well, I believe. But yeah, Pavel Nedved, 100% at left midfield.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Nedved was exceptional. Like his like ability to turn up in the big games as well. I remember there's a game against Real Madrid where Juventus kicked out Madrid of the Champions League, and he scored like this wicked. The ball bounced volley, kicked it and volleyed it in, and then jumped over the banister. It was like, just like, and that's a very good Madrid team they kicked out. And yeah, he was just like consistency in turning up the Champions League and playing at a high level for Juventus exceptional. And that's why he stayed it for Juventus so long, because he wasn't a player that anyone was going to be able to poach off. Then like, he was that good, and he scored long range goals. He was very creative. He worked hard, as you said, and like there were other people, like some people might say why Ryan Giggs to the team or other players, but I just think Nedved was a different level, And like their days, his hair was exceptional. Nedved, it was, he was just like, he was like the blonde god in a way, like where he ran around the pitch. Like, I just set the benchmark. Yeah. Thanks, Johnny, for the compliment. Good to see you, mate. Yeah, he set the benchmark. So, for me, Nedved was the only option of choice for left winger. So we move on to centre fielders. This is where it gets interesting because there's so many good ones. And I found it really hard, this one, because I was thinking, like, there's so many good players to miss out. So we'll go, because we're doing 4-4-2, we'll have one DM, one attacking midfielder. So who was your DM?
I'm on the spot now because defensive midfielders. I mean, I went very attacking for my midfielders.
Okay, who are the attacking players there? Who was your first one then?
I mean, I had to put Zidane in there. Zinedine Zidane. Just there's no more. Everyone knows who Zidane is. Everyone knows what he's done for football. Everyone knows who he is. Just an exceptional player. If I was to pick a defensive midfielder right now, he probably wouldn't get in my team at the moment, but very, very close. But I would put Zidane. I mean, I just went with a basic 4-4-2, of course, but I'd probably stick Deschamps in there. Didier Deschamps.
Is that who you picked, though, or was that?
It's not who I picked, no. But like, I was just thinking, if the other one, I tried to fit him in again. I've gone for Roberto Baggio.
Well, Baggio, yeah.
Yeah. Again, just. I mean, I would say he was a 10. Obviously, he could play up front, but again, there's just I was just trying to squeeze Baggio in there for some reason. There's a couple of strikers. Again, there's loads of strikers in mind. I'll get to that later on, of course. But I'm gonna I'm gonna stick with Zidane and Baggio as my two centre midfielders.
That's a good lineup. Obviously, like I said, Zidane was amazing. Everyone knows who Zidane was, how good he was. Like, he was a magician. But Baggio, I think Baggio was very underrated by some people because I think people still remember him for the World Cup miss penalty.
Yeah.
If you get that World Cup miss penalty, he was arguably the best player of that tournament. Like, he scored in nearly every round, and he was the last few Italian players that could actually dribble and take on players. There wasn't many players afterwards that had that ability. They could dribble, take on four players and score a wonder goal. But Baggio was exceptional. He was the best. I know people might say Romario at the time, 94, but I thought Baggio was the best player in the world at that point because he just had he had everything in his locker. He could take on players, he could score free kicks, score long range goals. And people talk about Del Piero and Totti, and they were fantastic players, but they were not. Baggio was better than them for me. He was better than them. Like, he was just on a different level for them. So yeah, I can see why I went for that. So I did go with Zidane. He was one of mine. But I went actually a defensive player because I felt like my rest of the team's quite attacking. So I went for a defense player. So it was difficult for me because there was very good defensive midfielders around that time. There was Davids, who was really good. There was Steven Effenberg, who I think at 92 Euros, he was one of the best players of that tournament. But I went for Lothar Matthäus because Matthäus was still good up to 96 before he retired. And I think at that point he was still, he still won the Champions Leagues with during that period with Bayern. He still was world class. So I went for Lothar Matthäus as my DM to partner to comp that because I think he was a complete midfielder. So that's what I went for. Who was your right winger?
Luis Figo. Luis Figo. I mean, my picks are like, sort of late night. I mean, obviously they had careers in the early 90s, but late 90s, 2000s is where they really made it, big in their career. But I don't like Luis Figo. Watching him play, like the step overs, the pace, he could shoot. It's just everything. Like, I mean, you must be really, really special as well if you play for both Barcelona and Real Madrid. Like, there must. I mean, it wouldn't. I don't think it'd ever happen now. But like, again, it's just such a great decade and such a great era for football in that 90s. I mean, I'm just so disappointed I wasn't born 4 or 5 years earlier. Like, it was just really, really great to see these players coming through and setting the benchmark for like up and coming players coming through. And Luis Figo was definitely, in my opinion, one of the best wide players in world football in the 90s. So yeah, Luis Figo for me goes in at right midfield.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the logical choice for me, because obviously people might think there's Beckham. Um, I can't remember. I think I couldn't really think of other top right wingers at that point. But I think Figo was exceptional. You know, like arguably on after Eusebio, the best. Well, till Ronaldo came around, he was the best second Portuguese player of all time.
Yeah.
Obviously, Ronaldo overtook him, but Figo was just legendary. Like he was skillful. He scored goals. He scored that long range goal against England in the Euros. That was like exceptional. And he was just like a consistent player that just produced at a high level week in week out every time he played. And you said for him to play for Barcelona and Real Madrid, you got to be some player. And he definitely was some player. You know, obviously he was overshadowed by Zidane and other players like Ronaldo at the time, who people thought were better than him. But Figo was world class and was exceptional. Obviously, Danny's saying Del Piero was at least good as Di Biagio. I think it's difficult to that because they played in different times, and I think also because Del Piero was a bit more later, they played different times. I think Baggio played in a much more harder period in time with a much more better defenders. But nothing to take away from Alessandro. He was an amazing world-class player. So it's difficult. Some people say Baggio was the best in the 90s in Italy. And then some people say, he wasn't. So it's a difficult one. But I can see why you might think Del Piero was good. So that's interesting. Now we get to the fun part. Who's your first striker?
I'm going to go for the easy one. The easy one, Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Just a sensational talent again. I mean, R9 is a reason why everyone calls him R9. It's just, you got CR7, of course, now. You got, say LM10, for example, but you've got R9, and that's Ronaldo. He was just, in my opinion, probably the best striker I've ever seen. He play football. He could score. I mean, take the power, the size of him, the strength, quickness, the finishing technique, everything in a striker. You could be absolutely dreadful in a game for 89 minutes. You give him a chance, he'll put the ball in the back of the net. There's a reason why he's up there. He's won World Cups. He's won all the trophies that you can win that he could have won. And Ronaldo is the benchmark to any striker, in world football. So there's a no-brainer for me. Ronaldo is my first striker in the 11.
Yeah, I think Ronaldo is like. Well, the sad thing about him was like, at Barcelona he was exceptional. The 96, 97, he was running rings around. He destroyed that La Liga. Like I don't think there's ever been a striker. And people talk about Messi. I think when you compare like Messi and Ronaldo, they were more consistent over a longer period in terms. But I think the technical ability, I think Ronaldo is better than both of them. Technical ability, but over consistency, Messi and Ronaldo much better than him because they've done it over a longer period. But I think technical ability, Ronaldo could do everything. I remember there's a video where I think it was like in 99 or 2000 where Zidane was talking about the best players in the world and best players. And I think like he said that, there's that trick, the Elastico, where they kick the ball, turn around and flick it back again.
Yeah.
Zidane used to do that pirouette kind of trick. Zidane said the only player he's ever seen be able to do that running at full speed was Ronaldo. So everyone else could do it, but they have to slow down, stop, and do it. So Ronaldo's the only one that could do it at full speed running and still continue on. And he said Ronaldo's the best player, and I think for me he was, I think also when Ronaldo went to Italy, he would think about the players he had to play. He would play, there was Nesta, Cannavaro, Thuram, Maldini. There's all these top class players, defenders he's playing against, and he destroyed them all. I remember there's the game where Nesta was at Lazio. I think it was a Super Cup where Inter Milan beats Lazio in Super Cup. And I think it was one of the highlight videos. Ronaldo just was running tricks around them. The skills he was doing that's what he was seen as the phenom. The skills he was doing were ridiculous. And it's just like people who didn't get to see him in the 90s era were robbed of seeing a great. Because I think if English didn't destroy his career, that 98 World Cup, where I don't think he played as well as he could have done in the 98 World Cup, not the level we saw him as for Inter Milan or Barcelona. I think if he never had those injuries, he would have gone down as the best ever. Because he was just, even after the injuries, he just became a great goal scorer. Yeah, because even his record at Real Madrid was still, I think, outstanding. I think he scored like 90 7 goals in like 140 games or something for them. Like his record there was outstanding still. So he just became a good goal scorer. He couldn't do the tricks anymore like he used to do, or dribbling. But like I said, there's only one. Yeah, there's only one Ronaldo, and it's not Cristiano. It's R9. You know, so 100% there. Who's the second striker?
I made a late change because I was thinking it was a late one with Histro Stoichkov. I was thinking of him. Very, very sort of underrated player. But I didn't go with him. I went with Gabriel Batistuta. He was, again, very again, just clinical, powerful, dominantly right-footed, of course, like from how he was. Just a great presence to have up front for your team. In my opinion, I think he was very underrated as a striker. And, you know, he's got a great goal record. I just no more words to maybe mention about Batistuta. And even watching, like, you know, I mean, I can't remember the top of my head the program. Like, was it on Channel 4?
Is this Italia?
That's the one. Yeah, sorry. And he would be the first person in my mind that would come to me, would be Batistuta. Like, and it was just one of the things, like, watching it, I'd always see him first. Like, it'd always be up there. And maybe that's a bit of biasness, maybe putting him in the team. But I think he would probably balance more in my team that I've got now, alongside other players like Ronaldo or Zidane, etc. So I'm going to go with Gabriel Batistuta.
Yeah, I think that is a difficult one again with strikers because I was looking at it and I thought there were so many good strikers, so many good players that you could have out. Batistuta was one. There's Crespo in that period. There's Christian Vieri, who was outstanding goal scorer. There's Ravanelli, the white feather, who was a great goal scorer for Juventus.
Didn't he go to Derby when he was late in his career?
Middlesbrough. He got some big money in Middlesbrough with Jorginho, and I can't remember the other one. There was also Inzaghi came around during that late period. So there's so many good strikers, but there's Raul, who scored loads of goals for Madrid. But I think for me, my team was my striker was Romario, because I did think like he scored a ton of goals for Brazil, and Danny's also got Vialli was a really good striker in that period as well. But I think Romario for me was the one because I think in that '94 World Cup he just scored in nearly every round. He's phenomenal. He could score all kind of goals. His head, his left, his right foot. He was quick. He could take on players. He's just goal scoring phenomenal. You know, like even went for the 2002 World Cup where he got injured. He went to that World Cup, then he got injured before the tournament started as Brazil's best player. You know, they were the one he had the hopes for because of he'd scored more goals than Ronaldo in the qualifiers. So for me, Romario, because I just think like he was world class for Barcelona. He's a legend there. You know, when you go to the Nou Camp Stadium, they've got a big photo of him. Like, I had to have Romario in there, the two Brazilians, because I thought like they were just too good together. So Romario, okay. So go to subs bench. Who was your first in the subs bench?
Sub goalkeeper is Buffon. I think it was quite easy for that one for me. I think Buffon was. I think it was it like the mid-90s he sort of come onto the scene.
Yeah.
I think Khan was just much more, you know, further forward than him. That's why he started for me. But for me, Buffon was my sub-goalkeeper.
Oh, I didn't have a sub-goalkeeper. I didn't have any goalkeepers. I didn't think about it.
I tried doing like proper like sub-goalkeeper, 2 defenders, 2 midfielders, 2 strikers.
I didn't think about it, but I thought, nah, I'm just going to be a bit bolder in that way and not have a goalkeeper. So my first sub was Brazy. So I thought he would come on as my player if I need to change it, to have Brazy on the bench. And because I thought I could also put Desai midfield if I wanted to, because he could play. He's really good defensive midfield as well. So my first one, Brazy, like I said before, Brazy was world-class centre-back, benchmark. So I had him in there. Who was your second sub?
My second sub was someone that starts for you, Alessandro Nesta. Again, I mean, I remember him. I mean, I know it was in, the AC Milan team was just so dominant. A lot of people might remember him. I'd say Oscar in the comments might remember him a lot in the 2005 Champions League final against Liverpool. But of course, over the years, Nesta was just brilliant, but a great light-for-light replacement. I mean, to play alongside Maldini, if Baresi couldn't play, for example, or Maldini couldn't play for some reason, I think Nesta would be a great replacement to go in that centre-back position.
Yeah, interesting. I went for Rijkaard because I thought like Rijkaard was still exceptional up until I think he retired around 95, 96. I think he was still exceptional. And I thought he had it all because he was part of that great Ajax team that got to the Champions final, that won it. So I had Rijkaard in because I think he was, in terms of defensive midfielder, he was one of the best ones to ever play the game. And he could play. He was a principal total football, in terms of, there's other good players like Ruud Gullit, stuff that I didn't put in the team or have on the bench, which was difficult. But I went for Rijkaard. So you went Nesta, Rijkaard. Who was your third one?
Desai, again, as you mentioned before, like just versatility, strength, leader. It was just so hard to. For me, it was so hard to leave Desai out at the 11. I think out of all the players that I've got on my bench, I think he was the hardest one to leave out. He was just like, I mean, even watching him in his later career at Chelsea, as you said, he's still got that presence, that knowledge, that reading of the game, that, as I mentioned earlier, that just knowing how football's played in the right way. And Desai, 100%, he has to get into that squad.
Yeah. I think for my one, Michael Laudrup.
Yeah. I missed him out.
Yeah, I was torn between him and Brian. But I felt Michael was better the player. Brian was an amazing player, but I thought Michael was better. And I felt that Michael was more of a star for the 92 Euros when Denmark won it. And also he was sensational for Real Madrid and Barcelona. And I think he was arguably one of the best wingers to ever play the game, Michael Laudrup. So I had him because he was just technically gifted, really good player. So I had him. Who was your fourth?
I went for Mateus as a substitute. Again, it's another one. I went very attacking in my 4-4-2 formation. I know Mateus obviously could play in that role as well, but again, it's another one of those players I know is more than capable of getting into that 11. There's so many other players you mentioned about like Eka Davids, like Frank Rijkaard, for example. Like, such great players. It's so hard. Like this 90s real. It's just so difficult. I've just gone for Mateus as a substitute.
I went for Thuram, so you're right back. I thought I have to have Thuram, who was outstanding. So I had him on my bench. Who was your fifth choice?
Because I said earlier we might have changed it, I'm going to put Deschamps on the bench as well. Sure. Again, for me, another underrated player, defensive-minded. Again, like I think I've mentioned it so many times before. It's like he was, I mentioned like it's 90s era. It's just driving me crazy now. I've heard so many stories about these players, and Deschamps again is another player that people look up to. Going into like football now, and Deschamps he makes it into my team and so onto the subs bench.
Mine was Rivaldo because
listen when you say that.
I thought Rivaldo was exceptional. Sometimes people said that some thought Rivaldo was better than Ronaldo because he could do long range shots, which Ronaldo really couldn't do that much. But I thought Rivaldo was exceptional. His long range. I know it was later on, but I'll never forget his hat-trick against Valencia, the best hat-trick I've ever seen in my life. And I thought Rivaldo was just exceptional. He's really good at the '98 World Cup. Obviously, the whole Brazil team was hit hard by Ronaldo's absence, and then Sudan and France capitalized on that. But I thought Rivaldo was really good, like technically brilliant, could score long range, big man for the occasion, and was just beautiful to watch. So I had him on my bench. Who was your sixth person?
I mean, you had him in your starting lineup, Romario. Again, I may have just got. I went for Romario as
Mario.
I mean, I could maybe change it to put him in a starting 11. It was just so. I mean, I've just gone back to maybe for a bit of biasness, but yeah, as you mentioned, the record at Barcelona speaks for itself. He was just exceptional. He was just a great striker. And yeah, again, it's not one on my list that he just can't miss out. So he has to go there.
Yeah, that's a good one. I went for Baggio, so I thought I had to have Baggio on my bench. If I couldn't fit in my starting lineup, I had to have on my bench because the guy was, like I said, as you mentioned before, he was world class, exceptional player. So had to have him on there. And who was your last sub?
My last sub was Christian Vieri. He was. I mean, I looked at that goal record for him at Milan. I didn't really sort of know how great he was. Like everyone went on about Del Piero, the era of Ronaldo, for example. But I mean, I see his stat in the Milan. He's from 1995. He played 140 games and just had over 100 goals for him. Or scored over 100 goals from him. It was just it's a little record to have. He just made everything look so easy on a football pitch. Every time he got the ball, he knew where the goal was. He knew how to easily put from high angles, from easy angles. He knew what to do. Just very, very difficult with the strikers that, in my opinion, I've picked. But Vieri definitely, again, someone I know that should be in a team. So yeah, Christian Vieri, my last sub.
Vieri is a very good player, and I think at the time as well, it was very rare for players to go abroad and do it in different leagues. He also did it. He was also amazing at Spain for Atletico Madrid, because he went to Italy, Spain, scored, was top goal scorer there, then came back to Italy. Mm-hmm. I think in the 90s it was very rare as well for players to do it in other leagues. So I think that was a really good thing he did. So he was an exceptional, and even for Italy, he was an exceptional goal scorer. He was just unlucky that Italy were never able to get over the line and win the World Cup with him. But he was a very good player, Vieri. And then I think he was unlucky. I think it was the 90s, 99, 2000, when him and Ronaldo were at top together, but they were always injured. So we weren't able to see that partnership with Ronaldo and Vieri really together because one was always injured. So we got to see it. But yeah, Vieri was an exceptional striker. But he didn't make my bench, but he was an exceptional striker. So my other one was Batistuta. I had to have him on there. I thought, as I said before, Batistuta was the best goal scorer. Like, we talk about Shearer and stuff like that. Batistuta was just born to score goals. And I think the other thing with him was his loyalty to Fiorentina. I know he went to Roma for a bit, but his loyalty. If he went to Barcelona, Real Madrid, one of those teams that kept on hounding him all the time, how many Champions Ligas would he have won? I think Ronaldo and Batistuta are probably two of the best players that never won the Champions League. Think about it. None of them won it. So, but none of them had really excelled in that tournament, because Fiorentina never really got to the Champions League ever. So Batistuta was rarely in the Champions League. But if he was in there, he would be off the goal scoring charts in that. Ronaldo was obviously as well was hampered by injury, so he was never able to really play in the Champions League or to a good level, because either injured or when he did play later on in his life, he wasn't the same Ronaldo. So we never got to see the phenom properly in the Champions League. So yeah, it was difficult, but it's difficult. There are other good players we missed out. There's Bergkamp, who was really good in the World Cup '98. There was Raul. There's Mijatovic. There was Hadji, who was good late up to '94.
Oh, George Hadji, great player.
George Weah.
I mean, I mentioned. What did you reckon of Stoichkov?
Stoichkov, yeah, exceptional player. Temperamental, but he was world class. No doubt about it. He scored loads of goals for Barcelona and Bulgaria. But yeah, he was difficult to not put in the team. There were so many others. I mean, there's so many players that, when I was looking through going from a memory again, and I thought, okay, there's too many players that have been left out that could fit on here. Klaus Seedorf, Christian Carambo was a great right back. There were so many good players. It was difficult to not. Fernando Herrera was a great centre back. So it was hard. It was hard to pick this team. Who was your goalkeeper, your manager for that era?
I had two in mind. I mean, the first one, I have my list, it's just gone now. The first one I was talking about was, I just had it. Oh, do you know what? I got my lost. I can't remember my list. I've gone with Capello. Capello was just, I mean, the amount of times he won the league with AC Milan, he went to Real Madrid in the league in '96, I think, or '97. Obviously winning the Champions League. I mean, I think 3 or 4 of my players, or maybe half of my team, played in the league, and I think for that 10-year tenure, within that 10-year spell, I believe Capello was probably the best manager out there. I mean, not for England, of course. But I think overall, as the top managers are, I would say Capello was probably the standard of management back then. So yeah, for Capello is my manager. Yeah,
I think that was thanks, Tony. Appreciate that. Appreciate the support and love. Good to have you as someone on the show. Those are good shouts, because I think there was Capello, there's Trapattoni, was a very good manager. There's obviously Alex Ferguson. There was.
I was thinking of Hitzfeld at Dortmund.
Yeah, he was my manager.
Oh, really?
Because the reason why I had him, because I thought my team's quite attacking. I didn't think about Capello, but I thought he was quite defensive. I thought, actually, I don't think he's going to be the right manager for my attacking team. I didn't think about Trapattoni as well, but I thought, again, he was more defensive. I thought about Del Bosque, because I thought that he was very good at Real Madrid. They won quite a few Champions Leagues. But I went for Hitzfeld because I thought his style of play was how I wanted. I remember his Dortmund team, when they won the Champions League '97. There was sensational attacking football. I remember his Bayern teams, like he won the Champions League with both Dortmund and Bayern, and he won like 7 Bundesliga titles during the '90s. So I went for him because I thought he was going to play the best kind of football.
Didn't he? Was it? I think he won the league with Dortmund. Was it in '95? He won it back to back, didn't he? Then the Champions League, but I think it was his first season, didn't he? After '91, I think he got them to the UEFA Cup final straight away. It was like, it's just incredible. Like, I mean, that was the other manager I had on my list. I was very, very. I think it was sometimes as worse as picking the players.
It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. Like I'll say that it really wasn't easy. So look at some of the comments. Oscar says, "What about Schmeichel or Victor Bayer for goalkeeper?" It was difficult shouts. Like, did you think about any of them too? When you think about goalkeeper?
Schmeichel, yeah, of course, we all know about Peter Schmeichel, but I can't pick him. He's a Man United player. I can't pick him at all. No, I mean, in all seriousness, I did think of him, but for me, Oliver Kahn was the standout goalkeeper for that decade.
Yeah, I think it was. I did think both keepers are very good, but I just felt like Kahn was better than both of them. That's why I had him over them. Tony says, "Big shout out to you, to the Reds. Good to see you, Tony." Uses the debate. I was born in the 1990s. Yeah, it was difficult. Obviously this is a hard one if you haven't seen the players or you were born at a later stage. So this was very difficult.
It's difficult for me. I was born in '92, so how difficult it was for me.
So this was hard, but it was like kind of like going back on old videos and knowledge, because I was lucky to see some of these players because I was old enough to watch 1994, so I knew some of the players. And then it's only like '92 I wasn't old enough to really understand football that age. Before I was and onwards afterwards, so I could answer this debate. But I mean, we're going to have more good ones coming up later down the line that I really going to be fun that more people can get involved in. So we will be doing a 2000 best 11 for that period. So watch out for that coming up. So this is really a lot of fun doing this with you, Luke. I had a lot of fun. Though it's controversial, I will put up both of our team sheets and squads on Twitter, so everyone can see. Oh, Danny's got his one. He had Pagliuca, Bremer, Roberto Carlos, Nesta, Cannavaro, Deschamps, Zidane, Mateus, Ronaldo, Signori, and Figo. 4-3-3. Oh, that's a good team. Oscar says, what about Rory Fowler? Fellow Red and all that. Yeah, look, Fowler's an exceptional player, but I just feel that in terms of goal scoring, he wasn't on the level as a Ronaldo or Batistuta or Mario in terms of goal scores, or even Vieri. I don't think he was on that level in terms of goal scoring. So that's why he didn't make the team of my squad. But yeah, everyone, make sure you hit the like and subscribe. If you're not watching or subscribe to Luke's channel, go give the 1982 Red podcast a follow. It's a great channel. Go give Luke some support. Otherwise, yeah, it's been a lot of fun doing this. I love doing this kind of controversial lineups. We hope to have more big shows coming up for you rest of this week and over the international break. Also, Friday's final word is on this Friday, so do join us for that. We'll give it a roundup of all Liverpool weekly news. Otherwise, it's been a pleasure. Like I said, make sure like and subscribe if you haven't done. Otherwise, Luke has been amazing. Hope to have you on the show once more sometime in the future. Otherwise, up the Reds, and we'll see everyone soon. And broadcast.